Hey y'all, it's Miss Rao here. Just wanted to give you a few hints on today's warm-up. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. So we'll read it together. It says, on Monday, Lisa's fishbowl contained 1 gallon of water. On Friday, the fishbowl contained 75 hundredths gallons of water. By what percentage did the amount of water in the fishbowl decrease? So this is a percent of change question. So the format where we're going to set up our proportion, in the numerator spot on the left side, we're going to have the amount of change. So that means what's the difference, and how do we find the difference between two numbers? We subtract. So we would be subtracting 1 gallon minus 75 hundredths of a gallon. And that answer would go in the numerator spot. Now in the denominator, we're going to have the original amount. So make sure that you pay attention to which one is the original amount. So we've got on Monday and then by Friday. So think about which one of those numbers is the original or the starting amount. Then on the right side of the proportion, we're going to have percent over 100. We know that the denominator is always going to be 100. In this case, the percent is our unknown, so we would put a variable in that spot. And then you're allowed to use the calculator to solve it, so it should be easy from there. Once you've set your proportion up. Okay, number 2 is a calculator inactive question. So I went ahead and set up the equation for us and got the first part started. So this is a 2-step equation. So first we would want to undo the subtraction. So we do the opposite of subtraction, which is addition. So we know because these are opposites, they're going to cancel out and make 0, so we can cancel that out. Excuse me. Then on this side, what we have left over to bring down is 2/7 k. Now we need to come over here and solve negative 19/8 plus 3/8. So we already have a common denominator, so that's good. We don't have to worry about that. So we can just focus on the numerators. So I've got negative 19 plus 3. When the signs are different and we're adding, remember we're actually going to subtract 19 minus 3, which gives us 16 for the numerator. We also have to decide on the sign. So we use the sign from the number with the larger absolute value. So in this case, that would be the negative. So we're going to have negative 16 over 8. Now this can be simplified, right? It's not simplified all the way yet. So negative 16 divided by 8, that's actually going to come out to a whole number of negative 2. So let's come back to our equation here and put the answer here of negative 2. Now I'm not going to finish solving the whole equation for you, but I will give you some reminders on the next step. So 2/7 k, this represents multiplication. So to undo that, we're going to divide both sides by 2/7. Okay, we know that these are going to cancel out. So I'm going to come set this part up for you. Negative 2, we want to write that as a fraction as well, over 1 divided by 2/7. Okay, so remember your steps for dividing with fractions, but once you solve with that, then you're going to have your final answer. Okay, number 3. It says, Anne opened a new savings account with an initial deposit, which means she put money in, of $245. Which combination will result in a 0 balance for Anne's account? So what we're going to do is I'm going to help you test out one of these options here. So we're going to test out option A. So it says every week for 5 weeks, she deposits $10 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and withdraws $27.25 on Tuesday and Thursday. So I'm going to come back and worry about the 5 weeks at the end. Let's just focus on the first week for right now. So she deposits $10, that means adding money, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So how many days is that? That's 3 days. So she deposits $10 on 3 different days. So we're going to represent that as 10 times 3. Okay, then it says she withdraws, that's taking money out of your account, so that's going to be a negative. So that's negative $27.25, and she did that on Tuesday and Thursday. So how many days is that? That's 2 days, so we're going to multiply that by 2. Okay, this is a calculator active question, so you can go ahead and punch those in your calculator. The 10 times 3, you should know off the top of your head anyway, that's 30. and then the negative $27.25 times 2. After you put that in your calculator, you're going to get negative $54.50. Okay, then we're going to add those, and that comes out to negative $24.50. Now, that's just for 1 week, so per week. Okay, how many weeks did it say that she's going to do this for? It says every week for 5 weeks. So we'd multiply that by 5. And when we put that in our calculators, we are going to get negative $122.50. Okay, so we were looking for something that's going to give us a balance of 0. So if we started with a positive 245 and we want to get a balance of 0, we're looking for something that would give negative 245, right? Because the two opposites would cancel out. So negative $122.50 is not going to be enough to completely cancel that out. We're not going to get to 0. So we know it's not option A. So I just wanted to walk you through how you would test those out. So now you only have 2 choices left that you need to test out on your own. So obviously we've narrowed it down to 2 choices there. Okay, let's move on to question 4. All right, question 4. One thing, I think it's not 100% clear in the drawing, so I did want to point out over here, this 10 is just referring to the distance from here to here. It is not referring to the total distance, so we would have to add those together to get 16 for this whole side length here. So these are similar figures, which means that we know that the corresponding sides are congruent. So I went ahead and set up a model of a proportion over here for you. So on the left side, we could put the measurements from the little triangle. So that would be this small one right here. And then on the right side, we can put the measurements from the big triangle, which would be the large one here. So let's look at the corresponding sides. So in the little triangle, the X corresponds to the 24. So you'll need to make sure that you put those sides across from each other in your proportion. And then for these sides, the 6 in the little triangle corresponds to the 16 in the large triangle. So you need to make sure that you put those numbers across from each other. Once your proportion is set up, then you can go ahead and solve it. It is calculator active. Okay, number 5. It says, for which group of data does the mean equal the mode? So you will need to actually find the mean and the mode of each of these 4 options to make sure that you can find the correct answer. So just a quick little reminder about mean. You add up all of the numbers in the data set and then divide by the amount of numbers, which in this case would be to divide by 4 because they all have 4 numbers in the set, and that would be the mean or the average. The mode is the number that repeats the most. Okay, so I don't think we need too many other hints on that. Okay, before I sign off here and finish, I'm trying to think of any extra things that I wanted to point out or discuss based on questions that came up last week. So one thing that some people did message me and ask about was, where should I be writing all this down? I don't have a warm-up sheet. So what I would say is just continue to use your math notebooks, and instead of labeling the pages with numbers like we had been doing for the table of contents, I would say just do the warm-up and whatever the assignment is for that day on the same page or side by side. And instead of labeling it with page numbers, just label it with the date and just keep all of that. It's super important that you do keep that. So if and when we do return to school this year, we'll be able to review things and you'll be able to turn some papers in. I believe that should be it for now. Hope that everybody is doing well, and I hope that this video was helpful. Bye.